Hey folks, Ron here. Nice morning out. Good, halfway decent weather. It's about 38 degrees out, so it's a little too cold to do any fiberglass work just yet. It's supposed to be up a little bit warmer this afternoon. Working on the tow rails on my 1971 Alberg 30. So far I've got them sanded down, all the teaks pulled off of them. I've sealed the open side on it. The deck is still screwed and glued together. The deck to the hull, and what I'm doing is putting a 4-inch piece of biaxial glass over the top of that lip, and later on, once it's dry, I'll start fairing it in. Don't know if I'm going to put the teak back on or not. Still thinking, mulling that over. I may go with an extruded aluminum tow rail. May leave it like it is. I really don't know yet. Still a lot of work to do on the boat, but I'm going to spend today trying to finish up that tow rail, and I'll show you what I'm doing as I go through it today. Alrighty. Alright, working on the starboard side. I've got the 4-inch piece of glass laid across the whole starboard side, and that's cured. It's got some creases in it from the peel ply. When we go over to the port side, you can see on the port side where I've already got the 4-inch already across about 4 feet of it. Got a long way to go. The creases in the peel ply, when I buy it in I don't know, they ship it to me folded, and those creases that are in it, I swear you cannot get them out. I've tried unfolding it and re-rolling it, and it doesn't seem to make any difference. I still end up with the creases in it. So hopefully those will sand out real nice, and then I'll go back and fair the whole thing. What I'm using along the side is this 4-inch biaxial cloth to wrap the lip on both sides, kind of make it watertight. The reason I'm doing that is the hull, even though it was screwed and glued together, in several places along that lip of the hull and the deck surface, there was gaps and it was leaking. So this is by going in with filler epoxy and then sanding that down and then putting the glass over it. That's going to seal up any, hopefully, water leaks along that seam. Still have to do the very point of the bow, and I've got everything laid out, as you can see, all the way back. Kind of give me an idea. I'm still waiting for the weather to warm up a little bit so I can get out here and do some epoxy work. But I've got everything laid out in strips. I'll go back and roll it up, clean it up, vacuum, do all that stuff, all my preparatory stuff before I get started, and then we'll go from there, and I'll show you as I'm doing it what I'm doing. Okay, here working on my 71 Alberg 30. I was working on the tow rails, putting a piece of biaxial cloth across the ends of the tow rails. As you can probably hear by the background noise, it's raining pretty heavy, which when it's raining heavy like this, sometimes I get a leak or two in the roof of my barn. Guess where it's leaking? Right on the tow rail that I'm working on. So I got about 4 feet of it done and had to stop due to water dripping on the part I'm getting ready to epoxy. So what I will do is put things up and hope for a little bit better weather tomorrow, and go from there. Alrighty, you take care. It is now 50 degrees outside. So, because this epoxy hits so hard and thick when it's cold, I keep it in my little room here, which I have a heater, and keep it a little bit warmer. The heater is actually right below this. I set it on the ladder so it's kind of above it a little bit, keeps it warm, keeps it up closer to the top. Still a little on the thick side, but hey, it's a lot better than trying to pump this stuff out when it's 50 degrees. So I am using a fast hardener on it, so it should be okay. All right. So I'll work on this in sections, mix up some epoxy and quick like before this sets up. I'll put that right there. The boat is really cold. Makes it harder. Plus, old people don't handle being on their knees very long. Another thing I've been working on, cut out all the material, the rotten core and everything around the mast step. Went back in with new balsa in that area. Also put G10 underneath, directly underneath. I mean, it's on the bottom piece of fiberglass with another fiberglass or G10 strap on top of that. I have to wait for it to warm up a little bit to go back, clean that up, and glass that in also. So that's another thing I'm working on. I do have a new hatch for this front. I made up my mind whether I'm going to put it in right now. Kind of like to get the boat back in the water. That's something I can do after the boat's back in the water. There are some issues with this hatch being the seam. I don't know if you can see it or not with this light, but right along in here, this is an open gap. It's been open since I had the boat. From here to here on both sides, I can stick my finger in it. I'm sure that's part of the problem. Any moisture, water coming in through that hatch was allowing moisture into that forward core. But I cut back into good core, so there is no more rotten core under there at all. What you see is good core with new core replacement. So I need to sand it back a little bit more, work on it a little bit more, and put new glass down there. Glass that back in, fill that over, and then I've got the aluminum plate for the mast step. Actually, both of them. I've got the plate that goes on top of that G10 plus the step for the mast. The bottom aluminum plate has been made new. I have a friend that has a machine shop. He made that new for me. There is a casting metal, bronze and aluminum casting company here in town where I'm at. I'm thinking about taking, because of the corrosion on the step itself, that down to the casting company and see if they can cast me a new one. I think it would be more cost effective to have more than one cast, So if anybody out there is looking for another casting, it'll be probably spring or summer before I actually go in and talk to them about it. If it's cost prohibitive, obviously I won't do that. But if you are interested in a new casting for a Mastiff, give me a holler and let me know. I may be going that route myself. All right.